So here's a question. Is it time to end the Fantastic Beasts franchise? Not only that, but kind of like Harry Potter in a nutshell. Now, there's a lot that is to be said about this. Rational did drop this $5 super chat at the beginning. I just wanted to save it to now. And he says Harry Potter is not as big as a universe as Star Wars, so you can only milk it so much. How I agree and I disagree with that, Rational, only because the Harry Potter franchise has a lot of lore and a lot of history to mine. Like the whole Fantastic Beasts franchise is all about literally, what was it, like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was referenced in one of the books or one of the movies, and then she wrote a book about it a couple years later, and then they decided to turn it into a 5 fucking act movie, or a 5-act franchise. So the whole thing is crazy. All right. But these movies are definitely having a bit of a rough time at the box office. And in fact, if you think about it for a second, like if you look at like the Harry Potter franchise in general, and this is just kind of a collection that I found online, you've got the main franchise. You've got the Wizards Unite, which I think that's their mobile game. There's the Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. That's big out of Universal Studios in Orlando. The Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is the sequel play that a lot of people have asked whether or not we're going to see turned into a movie. But from my understanding, I never read it, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's shit. Have you read, I mean, how big of a Harry Potter fan are you, Jimbo? Are you pretty big?
Oh yeah, I love Harry Potter. Every time I go to Universal, wherever they have all the rides, I go and explore it, and it just is like, it's amazing. I love it so much, and I read The Cursed Child when it came out on like my Kindle or something like that, but I can't remember it. I just remembered it as like, yeah, if they ever turn this into a movie, they're gotta make a lot of changes.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the whole point of it, right? Is the Cursed Child is one that I remember when it came out, they had the hardback edition at Costco, and I was gonna buy it, and I opened it up. I'm like, oh, it's a stage play. I'm like, my
Yeah, which I
sister
was
got
kind of
it, and
disappointed.
she said it wasn't very good.
I just was upset that it was a stage play because I'm like, oh, I got like, oh, she's coming with another book. They're continuing it. Then I found out it's a stage play that's not gonna wasn't meant for that. I'm like, you bastard,
Well,
you bastard.
and the thing is, though, like, I mean, outside of that, what you do have is the Wizarding World, but really, and that's kind of their expanded lore sort of thing that JK has been pushing now for a while. But really, it is all about the main Harry Potter franchise, right? Like, it doesn't
Yeah, that's
matter
their
whatever
money.
else you come up with. It's all about this. The thing is, though, is like these movies have actually done pretty fucking well overall. And looking here at this breakdown of you can see the releases and the total. You got like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone that released November 16th, 2001, all the way to just this weekend, April 15th, 2022, with the release of Fantastic Beasts. And they estimate the budget for it was 200 million. Same with the Crimes of Grindelwald. And Grindelwald, look, even though it came out a couple years ago, that still did 651 million. So, 3 times its production budget, which could turn a maybe a little profit for the studio. And then look, Fantastic Beasts had a smaller budget, and that did 811 million. But I mean, these movies, look at this here, Deathly Hallows Part 2, 1.3 billion, and then all these other ones, right? All of them have been like, 900, I mean, no, almost $1 billion for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in 2001. That was almost unheard of back then. You know what I mean? It was almost unheard of how popular this stuff was. And look at these budgets, 125, 100, 130. I mean, these are like modest. Those are big budgets for back then, but they're doing some seriously good numbers. So they're in all right now. The Harry Potter franchise for Warner Brothers has grossed over $9 billion just at the box office. Never mind the book sales, the merchandise sales, the licensing rights, the video game revenues. You've got the theme park, right? The fact that they get all that money that, Universal does have to give Warner some money with that. So they have made tens of billions of dollars off of Harry Potter in the last 20 years.
Don't forget just merchandise and all this other shit as well.
Well, that's what I said. I said there was
Oh yeah,
merchandise. I did say merchandise on that.
yeah.
And that's a big part of it too. And a lot of kids grew up with it. In fact, a lot of people in the online left, like the left wingers in regards to politics, like there's a joke on Twitter. They'll always, Godwin's law, right? It's like, it only takes so long to start comparing someone to Hitler basically. And then another people have like, started kind of doing the same thing with like Voldemort. They'll compare someone who's bad to Voldemort, or like they'll go, "Oh, he who shall not be named," or some shit like that. And then everyone's like, "Dude, shut the fuck up, read another book." You know what I mean? But these kids who grew up with Harry Potter, they're the ones who like have grown up with these characters, grown up with these movies, and they're the core audience. So obviously, with Fantastic Beasts, with Crimes of Grindelwald, and with the original, there's clearly a little bit of a disconnect. But despite the fact that even though Dumbledore opened to $43 million US, the lowest in Harry Potter franchise history, it's still not necessarily a terrible thing. So, looking here at the Deadline article, they say if there's still a 5-picture plan in place for Fantastic Beasts, clearly after this weekend's $43 million opening for The Secrets of Dumbledore, it's time to pivot the Harry Potter franchise. That's the lowest opening ever stateside for a JK Rowling Wizarding World movie, and it's probably not prudent for the studio to go for another low opening record on the next project from the franchise. It was evident Potter fans didn't like the last movie, Crimes of Grindelwald, even if there was a cliffhanger, and they didn't want to come back for Dumbledore. I do feel that they did lose a lot coming off of the Crimes of Grindelwald.
Oh yeah.
And even with JK Rowling's like, recent controversy, I still think it was the ending of the Crimes of Grindelwald that had more of a negative impact on the franchise. There were so many like literary YouTube turned on JK Rowling fucking like we're talking on a goddamn dime, dude. Back in the fall of 2019 when this movie came out, when Grindelwald came out, they were roasting her like constantly for how bad the choices were. Like Zoe Kravitz was in Crimes of Grindelwald. Zoe Kravitz dies in the Crimes of Grindelwald. This is a spoiler. Fuck you. It's been 3 years, right? But she dies in that movie, and it's meant to be this massive, like, sad thing, right? But we also spend like no time with her character, so it's a completely unearned emotional death. Like it just doesn't. I didn't feel anything when watching it. So that was a big problem as well. Now it goes on to say here, with the Warner Brothers Discovery merger made official on Wall Street earlier this week, this is unfortunately not the best optics for the studio. However, David as Zaslav gets to know Hollywood, he should realize that sometimes greenlit decisions predate the studio's current regime. Who would greenlight a $200 million net production on a franchise that wasn't working? The Fantastic Beasts movies were put into play by former Warner Brothers Entertainment CEO Kevin Tushihara. Now, we all know about Tushihara, right? Kevin Tuchihara he's the one who said, "Hey, Zack Snyder's Justice League, 2 hours. That's it, 2 hours." He's probably the one that said, "Cut out 30 minutes from BVS and release that shit theatrically." He was more about the bottom line. He was not about the creative endeavor. But like I said, when you've got, these Harry Potter movies that have grossed, billions upon billions of dollars, almost every one of them was almost $1 billion movie before $1 billion movies were even a thing. That was definitely something that, I mean, look, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows part 2, that came out in July of 2011. That is a full 10 months before Avengers, right? Think about how different the world is post Avengers. And Harry Potter came out before Avengers. The final Harry Potter movie came out before then. So it gives you an idea. All right. It gives you an idea as to what could be coming, like just how popular this shit was. And so even though they've got the popularity, that's what I think is going to happen with this. But it goes on to say here that Dumbledore's global is at 193 million, and it should settle around 400 million. This is after the 71.7 international, $150 million global opening weekend. Crimping global grosses for Dumbledore is the fact that China market isn't at full power. You can blame closed theaters during COVID or the country's POV towards US movies. China delivered the best gross for the first Fantastic Beasts outside the US and the second best after Japan for the Crimes of Grindelwald. So it clearly isn't even really resonating over there. But again, the movie, was delayed by a while. They had script issues from the last movie. And China is kind of like, I don't know what was edited out outside of the gay stuff for China because, I don't know. But it goes on to say here that IMAX did drive a bit of the ticket sales, actually 10% of the ticket sales, with the top 5 domestic IMAX locations being different places and whatnot. Around 32% of the threequels business came from IMAX, PLF, Dolby, and motion seating. Again, indicative that when people go to the movies, they want to see it in the best format. That's kind of the bigger thing for this, right? That's, I think, the bigger format for these movies. That's going to be what propels these films going forward. Like,
Yeah, because
remember,
it's a spectacle when you see these movies because
yeah.
they're yeah.
Well, and remember Avatar, like how Avatar, 100% influenced everything that was going on, with 3D films for like 3 years, longer than that. There was that trend of 3D that came in that was from the spectacle, mostly generated from Avatar. And so now we've kind of moved past that, and now we're in like the D box motion seating type shit. It's not available in every market. It's not available out where I live, and I'm not driving to to fucking Seattle to watch any of that shit. So there's that. But the reality of it is just, I look at it, I'm like, all right, clearly there's a problem. But I'm going to tell you something else, though. Something else going on. There was another little caveat that I think hurt Fantastic Beasts, and if it wasn't there, it might be in a bit of a different scenario. And that, of course, is Fantastic Beasts versus Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is a good movie. It is a fun movie. It is a family movie. It is one you can watch multiple times, and you can enjoy the ever loving shit out of it multiple times. Have you seen it yet, Jimbo?
All seen Sonic 2?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the first one.
Oh, you're fucking missing out, dude. You are absolutely missing out.
I know.
Holy shit. Go watch it. Chat, one in the chat if you should watch it. Just put that in there. No, it's a great film. The second one's a fun movie too. They're both really good. That movie made $70 million last weekend. And it was, so it was going to have a decent film. It was going to have a decent second week. The word of mouth was high. So going up against a Harry Potter movie, guess what that's going to do? That's going to cut into the Harry Potter budget, right? That's going to cut in to, not the budget, because it's going to cut into the box office. However, Fantastic Beasts, and this is the thing the Deadline article didn't talk about, and a lot of the other headlines that are talking about Fantastic Beasts and kind of attacking it, it was still number one this weekend. 43 million over 30 million for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So I'm not saying that it would have done better had Sonic not been out, but it probably would have done better had Sonic not been out. But a lot of that same kind of crossover fan base is going to probably end up being, Sonic had a lot of good word of mouth. And so I don't know necessarily what's going to happen for the next weekend. I don't know what comes out this next Friday. This next Friday is what? It's the Northman, and it's I think, what is it? The Bad Guys comes out this next Friday, and then I think The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent also comes out. So it's like independent movies and a kids film. Are they going to be able to rival Fantastic Beasts' second weekend? Probably not, if I'm being honest with you. I don't see Nicolas Cage's movie doing more than like 9 million.
Yeah, I mean, that movie, to me, I was like, oh, cool, Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal, but I'm like, no, that just seems really dumb. I'm just gonna go probably see The Northman.
Yeah. So there's definitely like, I'm gonna try to go see. I can go on Thursday night and go see both, which I might do. I might just say fuck it and go and see both, because I really want to see both. And then I'll just spend a lot of time at the theater that night. I just won't go out delivery driving or streaming, because I'll get home way too late. But the thing is, though, looking at this here, we can see that Fantastic Beasts still opened up ahead of Sonic 2. But there's then again, you have like the ratings. Do the ratings matter? Well, according to Rotten Tomatoes here, it's got a 49%, but an 85% verified rating score. So clearly it has done well enough with the audiences who have seen it, and that could be positive word of mouth. Now, I know you saw the movie and you were not a fan.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in it that generally just kind of bothered me in terms of the plot. The acting was great, but the plot and kind of story decisions that they went with were kind of not exactly what I would hope to see in this movie. I mean, yeah, but 85%, that's a pretty solid score. I mean, obviously people probably, I mean, I haven't seen the reviews. I would like to probably see the reviews and see what people just said. Like, it's a great, action movie or something like that. But there's a lot of things, especially with the overall plot, that just were not good. So I'm kind of surprised it's that high of a audience score, but you know.
I don't know. I mean, well, I mean, that's the audience score that's on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a little bit different over on Cinema Score, which gives it a B plus. It's not the worst thing in the world. An A minus would have been better, but a B plus is not the worst thing in the world. Morbius had like a C plus or something, but the audience score on Netflix, or on, sorry, on Rotten Tomatoes, was actually like pretty good. So I mean, it is very kind of hard to gauge. And then look, Morbius had a decent opening weekend, and then it cratered like 76%. It cratered the next weekend. So because there was no hook there, nothing to bring audiences back, I don't know if the Secrets of Dumbledore are going to have like that particular hook. Like, I don't know why Catherine Watterson isn't in the movie. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But it's like there's questions that I have that makes me kind of want to go back. Predominantly, it has a lot to do with seeing how Mads is, right? You know, how Mads turns out. But even
Oh.
but hold on, before we go into that, really, I want to touch upon that here in a minute. We can take a look back here and take a look at the other films, and just to see exactly what's going on here. You know, where you've got Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, 74% Rotten Tomato fresh rating from critics, audiences at a 79%. I think that the first movie, even with an A cinema score, is relatively shit. I've only watched it one time. I've had no desire to go back again, and I felt it was
That's
a
me with
waste of.
every single one of them.
Well, I mean, I like the Crimes of Grindelwald quite a bit, but a lot of that had to do with Johnny Depp. At the same time, I mean, look at Crimes of Grindelwald. It has a 36% for the tomato meter, an audience score of 54%. And because again, it was just that ending was like, what the fuck? And a lot of people weren't really big fans of it. But the Crimes of Grindelwald did get a B plus cinema score. And as we can see here with the Secrets of Dumbledore, after bringing in Stephen Kloves to help kind of like pad out the script and fix the story problems that they were having with the second film, it's clearly done a little bit better. So does that mean that it's going to go on to do over 600, $700 million worldwide? No, I don't think it will. But I don't even think that even if the Crimes of Grindelwald was seen as good back in 2019 when it came out, if we would actually have seen a better success for the Secrets of Dumbledore right now. And I think there's issues with that. Now, one of the bigger things here is JK Rowling. That's a big topic of conversation for all of this. So JK Rowling, so this, what I mean by this is like the question of like who's at fault for why this went the way that it went over the course of this weekend. And a lot of people I've seen on social media have been going after JK Rowling and her controversies as of late. I don't agree with what she says, but she says them, and there are people out there who agree, and there are people out there who disagree. But here's the thing with this. Even though she was not included in the Harry Potter 20th anniversary special that happened on HBO Max back on January 1st, it was still super insanely popular. But as we can see here from this image on the right, just to kind of blow it up, this is her at the Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore world premiere in London. You know, this is like when Ezra Miller was getting his ass arrested for just, you know, disorderly conduct in Hawaii. JK Rowling was over in, you know, London going to this world premiere. And here's the thing with that. We talked about that, Jimbo, too. There was no controversy about her going. No one was freaking out about her being there. No one cared. So it shows you, for one, that Twitter is not necessarily real life. That's my take on it. That Twitter isn't necessarily real life.
No one cares. Like, companies just like, she's the one who created this stuff. She's gonna keep making us a shit ton of money, so we don't care. And Twitter is just it's Twitter. Most times people kind of just write off it's kind of the bullshit and drama that people started because that's what people do all day. And I mean, yeah. I don't even remember what she said or like what the whole controversy was.
It was basically she's a TERF, which is a trans exclusionary radical feminist. She's basically saying that if you are a trans woman, you're not a real woman, and that is a very, very hot topic debate, and one that I'm not going to engage in. Actually, I don't agree with her. I don't agree with her. But I do try to look at the merits of an argument to see like if their point, like you can have a shitty ass point, like you can have a shitty ass argument.
Yeah, but
let me clarify. You can have a shitty point, but if your argument has like some logic behind it, like I kind of want to stop and go, okay, why do you think this way? And understand it a little bit better. The problem with social media is that no one ever gives a shit about trying to figure it out. So let me tell you guys why I think this is why I think things went the way that they went this week. And that of course is simply this. When they fired Johnny Depp one day into filming and they brought in Mads Mikkelsen in order to take on this particular role of Grindewald, especially after losing Colin Farrell from the first movie, and then having that twist be there. And I don't know how they explained it. Is it explained well?
Are you
Or is
talking
it
about like the way they
yeah,
changed?
yeah.
No, they didn't explain it at all. It's just basically
Okay.
just like, yeah, Mads is Grindelwald. Nothing. There's nothing
Okay. So
odd
just
about
I
it.
mean we just assumed that he like had the polyjuice potion and he became somebody else. That's
Not even that. We just it's just basically just kind of like there. They don't say anything. There's not anything explained at all. It's just there because that's the way they start the movie. He's just there with Dumbledore. They're just talking about their shit, which
oh,
is
okay.
you know,
That's in the trailer too, isn't it?
I didn't even think I watched the trailers.
Oh, okay.
But the way they start off the thing, like they start off the movie pretty hot with kind of like the stuff. I'm not
Okay.
gonna spoil it, but yeah, they throw
is
him.
it the gay stuff?
Well, basically, this is not really big spoiler because we already know that happens. But basically, Dumbledore and Grindelwald are at a regular Muggle diner, I believe, if I can remember correctly, and they basically talk about their blood ties that they had, so they aren't able to harm each other, which I think that's established in Crimes of Grindelwald.
That was established in a very homoerotic hand holding situation. You
Yeah, and
know.
so they talk about it, and then he's like you only disagree um about all this other stuff, but he's like, I only followed you because I loved you. That's what Dumbledore and Lily said. I'm like, bro, like this is like in the first 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, all right.
So they're just getting it out of the way so then
Oh,
they can cut it. So then they can cut it for China, essentially, is what you're saying.
oh yeah. I mean, it basically kind of like they go from that kind of diner scene to like kind of the Newt stuff, and then it
Okay.
transfers into everything.
I think
So.
I'll be honest with you. I think Newt is the most uninteresting
Oh,
character
dude,
in
I
the
don't give
entire
a shit
franchise.
about that guy. I'm
Like
just
I
like,
don't care
bro.
about Newt, period. But I will say, going back
Yeah.
to the Mads thing here, I did grab a screenshot, but I forgot to add it to the PowerPoint because I was already running behind. But Mads here did talk about replacing Johnny Depp, and he said that it was chaotic. Going on to say that he says here he says he wishes he could have report could have previously spoken with Johnny Depp before appearing in the film. He says, oh, I wasn't like, oh, please let me talk to him. He said it would have been great to touch bases, clean the room in a sense. Maybe I'll see him in the future. And then going on to say here that he refused to copy Depp's own performance, saying that to do so would be creative suicide, which he's not wrong on. And a lot of people I've seen are mad at him for saying that, thinking, kind of like the whole like argument, like when like let's say Halo, for example, whatever you think of the show, the I think like Pablo Schreiber had made a comment like we're trying to not make it like the games or something along those lines, or they're not using the games for reference. And people were like, "What are you talking about? Oh my god!" And it's like, look, these are adaptations. These things are, when you come on in, like you want to make it your own. That's kind of the whole point, and that's what I think Mads Mikkelsen was doing here. But the reality of it is, though, is that Johnny Depp firing was extremely fucked up in my opinion. It was extremely fucked up in my
And
opinion.
Amber Heard
And
is
then, well,
still
yeah,
there.
and then what's also happening the week that this shit comes out?
The
We've
trial.
got Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, and it ain't going well for Amber Heard.
Oh,
Like
dude,
it ain't
it's
going
so
well. I
bad.
saw that TikTok you sent me, yeah,
Oh,
where the
dude.
therapist is talking about that. So
Oh, yeah.
obviously, in this scenario, what we know is that Johnny Depp. I don't know if Johnny Depp's going to win. All I know right now is from like the general consensus one weekend is that it ain't doing great
Oh,
for
dude, she's
her.
getting shit on completely. Everyone's just posting clips of everyone testifying and basically shitting on Amber Heard, and I think the general consensus is Johnny's. Man, there's so much information, but it seems like he would always like she would start fights, or like maybe he would start fights, but then he would always try to de-escalate and like walk away, but she would like try to engage and get physical.
She would, yeah. That was one of the things I'd read is that she would start the fights, and then he would try to de-escalate, and then she would get mad at him for trying to de-escalate. Is basically what I'd read. or what they had said there as well is you know, like she is a very volatile individual, and
Just
you
looking
know,
at her remarks during the trial when people are testifying, she just, she just, I, just her facial expressions during this trial have been just something that people have just been constantly roasting on TikTok because she
yeah.
just seems like kind of an asshole.
Well, I agree with Benson here. It's like their counselor said that they abused each other. I don't think that's up for debate, to be fair.
Oh yeah,
I think it's I don't think them abusing each other is up for debate. What I think is up for debate is like who fucking starts it. That's what I think is up for debate. But the reality of it is though, sorry, I don't say reality. This is my speculation. This is my opinion. I think the failure of this movie is the fact that they're fucking there's this trial kicked off the week that this movie came out. And I think that was a big factor of it. It's not that it's I think that a lot of people said, you know, look, Crimes of Grindelwald story wise, meh, all right, had its problems. But you know who walked away as a shining fucking star from that movie? Johnny Depp. A lot of people came out of the Crimes of Grindelwald and they're like, I love Johnny Depp in this role. I think he was great. That scene with him on the like when he's addressing all of his people, you know, like he brought it. Like he went to Comic Con and he performed at Comic Con in character as you know as a marketing stunt. That was great. And of course, Amber Heard was there for you know Aquaman, and everyone's like, oh, poor Amber Heard, you know, and whatever, and all that shit. But it's like, but again, I think there's so much popularity, so much love for Johnny Depp, and what we've learned coming out of the Sun case, and what we've learned from this. There's the Justice for Johnny Depp movement. And I think that has actually caused more problems for the Harry Potter franchise than JK Rowling. Because again, I think JK Rowling, her big thing is it's a Twitter thing. I don't agree with her opinions, but that's generally where they're relegated. But the Justice for Johnny thing has like gone on YouTube. It's gone viral on YouTube so many fucking times for years now. It has been part of the ongoing conversation since early 2017 or 2018 when Amber published or had that article published in the Washington Post about her abuse. You know, never naming the person, but finding out all of the antics that we found out in the years. There's a lot of emotional animosity towards Amber Heard and towards Warner Brothers for firing Johnny Depp off the movie. So it's no fault of Mads Mikkelsen. I think he was put in a bad situation.
yeah, and
So
he did a great job. I think he did a
yeah,
great
he
job.
did a great job. I mean, Gary here says blame Snyder for hiring Amber. Dude, he did that before. They hired Amber back in like 2015,
But
you
then he
know.
also brought her back for the Snyder cut as
Well,
well.
yeah, and that was a thing, you know. That was a thing. You know, and then John here says that the movie would have made 30 more million with Johnny. I do believe so. I do believe so.
Because people would want to support Johnny, and those people that are always like hashtag justice for Johnny be like, all right, let's go support this man. Let's show that we actually want to see him in more projects, and they'll go out and support him.
Yeah. Skywalker Brinder says one of Heard's publicists, it was her activist friend, Eve Barlow, got banned from the court because she was pulling out her cell phone and texting. You know, and so like again, like yeah, I read about that. I read about that as I was finding information for tonight. But that's what I'm talking about here, though. Is like I
Are you
think the
serious? She
problem.
did that?
Yeah, one of her friends did. Yeah, one of Amber
Wow.
Heard's friends was texting during the thing, and she got booted out. But I do feel, by the way, like I said, I absolutely feel that the biggest problem with the crimes or with the Secrets of Dumbledore is that Johnny Depp was not in it. I think that has more of an impact than anything else. But you know, but that being said, it does bring up another question, right? And this is one that I want to ask to you guys, and it's one that I want everyone's opinion on. Should JK Rowling at this point sell the rights to Warner Brothers?
No.
I mean, that's going to be that if this movie if this movie fails to perform and they want to continue with the next two, they're going to need to figure out the best way to do it.
I
And
don't
I
think
think
selling the rights gonna just make this franchise better. I think it honestly, like a lot of people have been saying over the night in the chat, is just take a break and reevaluate your property and take time because the Wizarding World is still highly profitable. I mean, we got Hogwarts Legacy coming out, and that's like one of the most hyped games for this Christmas. I'm definitely buying it. I just don't know which console I want to get it for. But Secrets of Dumbledore has a similar problem in terms of Crimes of Grindelwald. just the story elements don't add up, and it just leaves a bad taste in some people's mouths. And for me, it just seems like they just don't know what the hell they're doing with this movie in terms of like kind of like when you break it down to like the different points in the movie and talk about it instead of just kind of like the action details, it doesn't make sense, and it's just there's a lot of pointless shit in this new one that I think that they could have redone if they just actually took some time for this movie. I know it got delayed, but this movie just could have done so much better if they just would have kind of worked on the story more, because it's pretty weak. I'll give it that, and it's kind of cringy in a lot of parts.
Well, I think the problem though, she wanted to tell like a, you know, like an Obi-Wan versus Vader type story. And I think one of the bigger problems with that is that she just really fundamentally, you know, screwed up the first kind of, you know, the first leg of this whole thing. Now, do I think she should sell it? I don't know. I mean, if it's not impacting, like, look, she's a billionaire, all right, but she's very protective over the Harry Potter stuff. She
Yeah,
doesn't
I
have to
don't.
sell shit. She doesn't want to. She's set for life. Her kids are set for life. They're literally set until
Got
like the
generational wealth
yeah,
for
like the world, like
generations.
exactly, like the world could come to an end, and whatever arc is there for celebrities, like her and her family are going to be on it. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah.
like they probably already have their condo at the moon base. We don't know if that's being built by China. Like that's probably already there. I'm making that up, but I would say she's covered.
Oh yeah.
But
She's
I wonder if there's going to be enough pressure to where, like, you know, the legacy of her character, if that's going to end up being called into question. Now, I ultimately don't think that's going to happen. I don't
no.
think she should sell it. I think, but people are going to be asking the question. And right now, Warner's is not in any position to sell it or to buy it. They're
Oh
not in
yeah.
any.
They just
They don't have
yeah.
the money. They don't. They simply do not have the money to buy it. And you know, because keep in mind that Zaslav wants to make sure everything is like super whatever, and they're not going to sell it to her in stocks because she's not going to do that. But you know, what I'm wondering
Yeah,
though,
that'd be pointless to be honest.
what I'm wondering, instead of selling it, I wonder if she is going to potentially start to like, if she could be persuaded to treat it like George Lucas did with the EU and have like a Harry Potter expanded universe, and allow other writers to start coming into the world and tackling the world and tackling the lore and expanding outward. You know, obviously it's not canon in her eyes. Obviously it wouldn't be anything like that, but it would allow for a fresh look at it. It would
Like a
allow
Wizarding World Legends kind of
kind
sort of
of, yeah,
story.
yeah, you know, like it would allow for a lot of different things to take place and maybe to correct.
Hogwarts Legacy, for
Yeah.
example, that's basically a Legends sort of storytelling.
Oh yeah. Gary here says that JK has the money to buy Warner's. That would be funny. Maybe she does. Maybe she does at this point.
Should probably just buy it all.
Well, actually, hold on. Wait, what is JK? I want to look it up here. JK Rowling net worth. What is it? She is listed as let's see. Oh, her fortune is apparently estimated at 820 million, making her the 196th richest person in the UK. So, I thought she was a billionaire. Oh, well, according to another thing here that she's got her net worth is roughly 1 billion. Well, I mean, yeah, you know, I guess so. I mean, like, what can we say about that? It's like, hey, JK, you rich? Yeah, she rich, but you know. So I don't know. I don't think she's gonna sell anything. But again, it's kind of like what could be the next thing. Well, viewer Anon chimed in on this, and he gave his thoughts, and I like viewer Anon because I think he's got, you know, insight into the industry, and he has good takes in my opinion. And he says, I don't see any universe where J.K. Rowling sells her Wizarding World rights or just film or TV new media to Warner Brothers. George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney at a huge discount because he wanted to move on. Is there any indication that's true of Rowling? I don't believe so. I think she will. I think because she gets so attacked by these like Potter fans that like they just have this fundamental disagreeing over. I think part of me feels that she's very spiteful and she'll hold on to it just out of spite. Like fuck you, I'll ruin your childhood sort of thing. Like I already got your money, ha ha ha. It doesn't matter. You're still, because everyone who may want to boycott this movie on social media, how many of them went to go see it? How many of them are going to pick it up when it comes out or watch it on HBO Max in 45 days?
I think it's just basically like her being like, all right, I created this world and gave you guys 8 great movies, and then now we do this, and now you guys are like turning against me. No, I'm gonna, stick with it, and you're just gonna have to deal with that. That's kind of like how I would perceive it.
Well, again, with that though, I think the thing to consider is that she's people are upset with her for things that she has said, and she doesn't believe she said anything that's bad. But that becomes again a bigger bigger problem as we get into this whole thing. So I don't know, but viewer non here, and this is kind of what you've mentioned, Jimbo, but he kind of summarized this here by saying 16 years passed between Star Wars original trilogy and prequel trilogy, a decade between the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 made $39 million in 2009, and Halloween 2018 made $255 million in 2018. There's something to be said for letting a franchise disappear long enough for audiences to miss them.
And also, I think that's a good thing, but also gives them time to like actually come up with a plan and a structure to make like it gives them plenty of time to plan. That's what I'm saying. Like just take a couple, time years off and come up with a better plan and like story right for a while and come up with a better story with what you want to do, because obviously what you're doing now isn't cutting it, and especially with this last one, I thought the writing was probably the weakest out of all three of them, or basically, yeah. But
remember though, like again, Deathly Hallows, the book came out in 2007. The movie came out, part 2 came out in 2011, and we didn't get another Fantastic Beasts or another Harry Potter movie for 6 years. So, and it's not like it wasn't instantaneous came back. They waited half a decade, over half a decade for it to come back. So it wasn't like they just brought it back up again. I see your point, and I think right now, probably, I would say probably one of the things that would be great would be if they were to, finish. Like at this point, I think they should finish the franchise and just get it done over with. Maybe one more movie, wrap it up. Mm-hmm. Gary B here says David Yates needs to step down as director. Time for some new blood. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to an extent, but if you're halfway through a franchise and you've already got your creative visionary behind it, right?
I think he's a great director, though.
I think getting rid of him now would be a bad call, to be honest with you, just because it would tonally change everything. And he was one of the ones who fought to keep Johnny Depp on The Crimes of Grindelwald. He fought to keep him. Him and JK fought to keep him and everything else. And then they were superseded by Warner Brothers on that front. But who knows? Maybe if Johnny Depp wins this defamation case against Amber Heard, then they might. Who knows? Maybe they'll hire him back for the next one, and then
Zaddy will be like, come back, man.
Yeah, I could look. I'll tell you this right now. I see Zaslav. Did you call him Zaddy?
Yeah, Zaddy.
That's Zack Snyder's nickname. Don't you forget it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I could see. I tell you this. I could see Zaslav bringing Johnny Depp back before I could see him restoring the Snyderverse. To be fair,
mean, that would be probably. I mean, honestly, like bringing an actor back versus restoring a whole IP, basically.
Well, D. Allier says they shouldn't have had Yates direct all 5 movies. See, again, I disagree with that, because what you have is you have a tone and you have a director direct the whole franchise. And that way they are able to keep it consistent.
I think he did a great job.
I like him. But
the story's the issue. The story's the issue.
Sure,
the acting and the directing was not the issue for me.
But look at the tonality. Look at the tonality change between, Chris Columbus did Chamber of Secrets and then Sorcerer's Stone. And those two felt very tonally similar because they shot them back to back, right? And then he leaves the project and they bring in Alphonse Cuarón, who's an amazing director. And he gave us The Prisoner of Azkaban, which is probably the most visually appealing Harry Potter film. But for just like following the story, it was pants on head stupid at times. And then I forget, like, was it Mike Newell who did Goblet of Fire, which is just, that's like
my favorite.
My favorite book. And it's like the worst movie. But then David Yates came on in after that and did fucking Order of the Phoenix. And then
Mike Newell.
Mike Newell. That's what I said, right?
Yeah. That's I was just confirming what you said.
And so, and again, like, he's done Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, Deathly Hallows Part 1, Part 2. And then yeah, he's done 7 films in the franchise. And I get that. Like I think that like he maybe shouldn't have done these films. But what I'm saying is that he's already gone 3 films in. I don't think it's him that's necessarily the problem. I think it's JK Rowling as a writer trying to write screenplays and cobble together this story and having the producing power to be able to do it. That's the problem. It reeks to me like creative issues that have happened behind the scenes. That's a big thing. Um, Momoon here says Order of the Phoenix sucked the most out of all of them. Have you not seen the Goblet of Fire? I
I like
mean,
that one. That's my favorite. What are you?
the book is really good. The book ends
Yeah.
on a dynamite ass cliffhanger, dude.
Oh yeah, the
Like
book is
the book
amazing.
ends on I
I just love
fucking
the movie.
the movie. The movie just fucked up. God damn it. The same thing with Prisoner of Azkaban, where it's like they could easily like add in like all this shit that would make it all this
Oh, they could. Yeah.
way more. I don't know. I get frustrated with that crap.
Yeah, but like
Um,
I just think of that year because I think it came out in 2005. You just think of that year 2005, like you get Goblet of Fire, Revenge of the Sith. It was like such a great year for that. And I was like 4 years old, but I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith and Goblet of Fire. Like, oh, those were
dude,
such great
I
movies.
was 23.
Fucking
You're like, I was
boomer.
5 years. Like, fuck off, man. But I do feel that it is probably time to end the Fantastic Beasts franchise. I do. I
Oh
think at
yeah.
this point, they need to just wrap it up. If it's just one more movie and they cut down from 4 to 5, wrap it up. Do I think they need to kill the franchise right now? I know. Look, I've heard RJ had said that the way they wrote it was that it could be the ending if that's what they
RJ
want.
hasn't seen it though. That's what's
Yeah, I
funny.
know.
Like,
That's the thing. I know he kept talking about. I think because viewer Anon had said it, or somebody else online had said it.
yeah.
And no shade on RJ, but like he was saying it. So I mean, the way it ends, without spoiling anything, does it set it up for more, or can it be a conclusion?
The way I saw it, it could either be a decent ending, I guess, for whatever that movie was, but it also could continue uh in some aspect. It was a unique ending, but it either could just be at a standstill after this one, which I think the ending would be pretty decent if it did that, but it could definitely go on. But I'm trying to figure out how, because it's still kind of like fresh. I'm still trying to process it because it's such a roller coaster of just me like emotions in
Yeah,
terms of frustration and also like, okay, this is awesome.
it's such a
So
weird thing to be, right? It's like icy hot sort of situation.
yeah, it is. There's a lot,
Um, so
and
now
yeah,
because you say it like that, now I want to go see it even more. Like, I want to go see it even more. I think again, my thought is that like do one more movie, wrap it up, and then be done with Harry Potter on the big screen for like well over 10 years. And at this point, what you do is once you get the rights back from Universal for the Harry Potter as like the characters, because they can't touch the characters until like 2025, I think. Then you reboot it as a television series for HBO Max
um,
to fucking rival Percy Jackson, right?
I don't know,
And
dude.
Lord of the Rings on fucking Amazon, dude. If David Zaslav, look, I know everyone out there is trying to say, "Oh my god, fucking, DC is Warner Brothers' most valuable fucking franchise." It's not. It's Game of Thrones and it's fucking Harry Potter, and it's clearly Harry Potter in the lead. You know what I mean? Like DC does well, but like if you look at like DC's numbers compared to Harry Potter, there's no comparison. You know, these movies have done like very well, and it's not just movies. It's all the merchandise and the home video sales and everything else like this. So the franchise
Ooh,
should be rebooted. It should be rebooted
I don't know,
for a
dude.
7 season run on HBO Max. I'm not even
Dude,
kidding you.
dude, that, like for me, it's like, dude, it's like rebooting I don't know. I don't know. I have to see. But like initially that's just kind of like repulsive, and like I would
Yeah,
just rather have them start a new series and with whole new characters, kind of like what they're doing with Hogwarts Legacy, like to have a different time period, go back to Hogwarts and have a group of new people kind of going through and having their own adventures. Because that's why I'm like, hell yeah, Hogwarts Legacy all the way, because it's a unique time period. It's way before, and it's whole new people dealing with all new enemies and stuff. Like, we need to branch out. I get it. Like Harry Potter's like kind of like the thing. My idea is like it's either they continue with it, redo this cursed child, and kind of continue on in like 10 years, or they come up with their own like a new timeline and pursue with all new characters instead, because rebooting is just like, I just don't think if they reboot it as a series, I don't think they would ever it would get the same reception as the movies did, especially with recasting Harry Potter and all that. It would just like heavy criticism.
I think it would be heavy criticism, but people would come around to it if the show was good. Rational here says a Harry Potter spin-off TV show is already in early stages. Yes, according to Variety, on January 25th, 2021, so a little over 15 months ago, or about 15 months ago, they had talked about that. So we have no idea what's going to be going on with that one. Momoon here says Goblet of Fire is better than Undead Nightmare 2. No, it's not. Uh like Anthony here says no, give me adult Harry Potter. I don't think Daniel Radcliffe wants to come back, if I'm being honest with you. I really don't see him as wanting to come back.
He just kind of got out of the Harry Potter shadow. So
Yeah, he's done he's doing other things now and he's happier with that. He's got his money. Remember he was an alcoholic during that shit, right? Like he was an alcoholic.
oh, you can see that, like,
Yeah,
like Deathly Hallows. Like, man, this man looking rough.
yeah, he was doing pretty bad in that one. Yeah. So clearly there's a problem there. But all right, that's kind of my take on it. As always, for if you guys are watching this on the VOD, let me know your thoughts. It's a time to end Fantastic Beasts or Harry Potter in general. And that's it for that one.